First, we would like to thank everyone who took part in our annual Customer Appreciation Week. We'd like to especially thank the hundreds of brand new customers who use WagerTalk.com for the very first time. Our regulars already know we offer $9 Mondays and have a featured handicapper for $2 Tuesdays. We're going one step further. For the final 2 Thursdays in February, every single daily package will be half priced on Thursday, February 18th and Thursday, February 25th using coupon code THANKS50. There is no limit to the number of usages or the number of cappers you can purchase, and the same code THANKS50 will work for both Thursdays. Just another way for us to thank you for your patronage.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is time for another edition here of the NBA Tip-Off Show. It is powered, of course, by WagerTalk.com. 6 games in total in the association tonight. We're going to take a look at all 6 games. That is correct. Right from the top of the board, we're going to go down. We've got a contrarian. We've got an overtime. We've got a couple of featured games. We're going to go ahead and go over all of them, and we're going to do it with 3 of the absolute best there is to offer here at WagerTalk.com. When it comes to handicapping the NBA, Ski Profit right at the top of the list. That's right, Ski back in action here today. Robbie Vino also back here today. Always a pleasure to see Mr. Vino. And we picked up this guy here. That's right, straight from his parole office. We've got him there. Here he is, Tony Finn. Back in action. We love you, Tony. Good to see you again, my man. It's going to be a hell of a game tonight across the board. 6 of them. It's a small card, but each of these games is very unique, and so is the market movements right now. So we'll dive into them. But I do want to let you guys know that it is 50% off today at WagerTalk.com. So you're talking about half-price bet packages right now. Using the code THANKS50, that's THANKS50 at checkout, that will go ahead and give you 50% off WagerTalk.com handicappers best bet, and it'll include Ski Profit in the house. And Ski, man, how you been since the last time we saw you here, man? And what do you got lined up at Wager Talk here tonight for us?
Well, last couple of times I was on the show were pretty good. I know the best bets were good, so I want to try to provide another good one today. And I've only made 1 bet so far. I know I've been pretty high volume lately, but I'm trying to wait on some injury news and take it a little slower today. So 1 bet so far.
All right, 1 bet up at WagerTalk.com. Mr. Vino, continue to rock and roll in the association. Has been very, very good to you. What do you got tonight for us, man? What's going on?
Yeah, NBA's been good, Joe. 33-18 is the, I guess, medium-term streak in the NBA right now. I'm like Ski. I have 1 play up and available right now, 4% best bet, and there will be more to follow. But as we've said often on this show, it's better to be patient than hasty in a lot of these cases. So just showing a little bit of patience here. Got a couple more lined up. Probably be up, later on today. Those who have been, purchasing my service know that anyway. So, we'll give it a little time, Joe, and see what happens here.
Good stuff. And, Tony, it's been since the last time we saw you a couple of days ago. You were coming off a 4-0 night, I believe 3-1 last night, if I'm not mistaken. So you're continuing to roll. What's on tap for tonight?
I have a rare package tonight, albeit in the college container, but I'll just say I have 2 5% plays in one night. On the college side. However, I do have 2 NBA plays, and I've packaged them with that with the entire night. Really, it's going to be an all hoops, all access package, which will be up right after Joe, Ski, and Rob give out all today's NBA winners. How's that?
All right, I love it. Don't forget, THANKS50 at checkout, guys. 50% off these best bets tonight at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's dive into these matchups here tonight. We'll start with our contrarian game like we usually do here, guys. Coming off a winner last night with OKC as the contrarian game, the contrarian side here on the show. That was a winner. Tonight, we're going to be looking at this Denver team at home, welcoming in the Washington Wizards. And this opened up right around that 7 mark for the home team there, that being the Denver Nuggets. Since that time, we've seen about 71% of the money coming in on the Denver Nuggets. It's moved it up to about 7.5 here. So it's an interesting game from that standpoint where a lot of love heading towards the Denver Nuggets, not a whole lot of love for the Washington Wizards here, Ski. So I'll start with you, my man. Do you agree with the market move, or do you think there might be some value going with the Wizards in this
Um, I don't know about value, but I know Wizards lately have been playing better defense, and that's why we saw them win some games. They've been a better rebounding team than Denver, and if they can do those two things, they'll definitely be in this game. So they've covered 5 of their last 6. If I had to play this one, I would think it would be another cover in this one for Washington.
All right, it's interesting. We were talking a little bit before the show there, Rob Vino, about this Denver squad. They looked certainly a little lethargic last time out that we saw them. They're still battling some injuries here. So do you agree with the market move, or do you think Washington might be the way to look here?
I think if we just went on current form, Joe, Washington would be the obvious way, right? Denver's 3-8 against the spread in February. Washington 5-1 last 6 against the spread. So certainly one hot team, one team that's been less than average for sure at covering point spreads. I'm with you the other night in watching that Denver-Portland game. I don't know if it's because of the depth situation and the inexperienced depth situation, which Tony pointed out to us off air, that really forced Denver to play more, a slower pace. Jokic brought the ball up quite a bit in that game. Not that that's unordinary, but I think that slowed the game down. There was a couple of times when Portland ran into the 24-second clock, which is unlike Portland. So even with all that being said, that particular game hit 217. These two teams just met a few days ago on the 17th, and that game was 130 to 128. The only personnel difference in that game was Gary Harris played for Denver in that one before he went out, and he only scored 2 points, so it wasn't much of a factor in a 258-point game anyway. The biggest reason why you would wait on this, in that contest, Davis Bertans had 35 points. I think it was 9 of 11 from 3, and if he doesn't play here, that might, it might have something to do with matchup, Joe. It might have something to do with he was just hot that night. I'm not really sure. But Washington's certainly capable of shooting the basketball better than 50% for their last 5. Their offense really has rounded into form as everybody's gotten healthier and into the flow. I find it hard to bet against Washington with the day of rest. That Clippers game, the loss was explainable. They had just come off of overtime with the Lakers. But here, even in the thin air, I think Washington might be the right side.
Yeah, it's, Tony, without Gary Harris, their best perimeter defender here, it's not like Denver plays an awful lot of defense to begin with, and it does appear as if Washington has kind of put it together. Russell Westbrook's figured out a way to kind of fit in here with Beal and company. So I don't know. Do you agree with the market move, or do you think Washington might be the way to look here?
Well, first off, let me just say this: it's not like they've just beat up on the less thans of their wins, and they're not overwhelming. If you look at the standings, at least they don't appear to be such. But they've beat Boston. And recently they beat Boston, Houston, Denver, Portland, the Lakers. And in truth, it was really a good spot for the Clippers. The Clippers were finally healthy, and they were coming off the overtime win, as Rob mentioned, against the Lakers. So, had they saved that Clippers game, they're coming to this game with a 5-game winning streak. And they're 8-point dogs against a team that, and let's just say no Millsap, no JaMychal Green, no Whittington, no P.J. Dozier, no Gary Harris. And I know most people would expect me to say, no problem. You would be incorrect. Houston or Denver, we have a problem. And 7.5 points just seems far too much. The value here, obviously, I think the contrarian pick for you guys is solid, spot on. I'm saying take Washington and the points.
There you go. And to be fair, Houston does have a problem. They pretty much suck ass, and they've already made it to Ski's hell no list, man. Put Houston right at the top of it. So they do have a problem as well. But there you go. Contrarian game is the Washington-Denver game. We all seem to be leaning one way, that being with the contrarian side, that being the Washington Wizards. All right, let's start with one of our featured games here today, guys. And we can go. Let's talk about that Clippers team here, in fact, taking on Memphis here tonight in this matchup on the road for the Clippers. Opened up 7.5. I am seeing 8.5s in a lot of places here. Total is 228. I've seen that go down. A lot of 225.5s in this one. So, Vino, let me come to you here. Certainly a lot of love from the side going to the Clippers. The total, well, a lot of folks don't think we're going to see an awful lot of points here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's some recent bias built into that, Joe, because Memphis is coming off their 2 worst shooting performances of the season, not just from the field, but from 3-point range as well. They shoot 39.4 and 39.7 overall in their last 2 games. And from 3, it was even worse, 19.4 and 15.2. So I think there's a lot of, what we've seen last indicates Memphis can't score. I don't know that that's true. I think what's happened to Memphis is, with the exception of Jaren Jackson Jr., just about everybody's back for this team. And they keep working players in over the course of the last 3-4 games, right? And sometimes it takes a little bit to get it going. I remember last year reading so many quotes from Ja Morant about how we've got to figure it out. We'll get better. Just keep working hard. I read an article today, and I mean, it's like they took the bubble newsprint and just put it in today's paper. The same thing out of Ja Morant. And I don't know that it's not true. I mean, they are learning to work with most of their starters in the lineup once again, including one of Tony Finn's favorites in Justice Winslow, who actually has come in and shot horrendous from the field in each of his 2 starts since he's come back. So I think it's taken some time for Memphis offensively. I don't think they can shoot that bad again, Joe. I think they'll shoot better. But the matchup in this game, to me, that just screams Clippers and screams points, is the fact that you have the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA against the 27th worst 3-point defense in the NBA. The Clippers are off a 19 of 38 shooting performance. They're 42% overall from beyond the arc this year. And Memphis just doesn't stop it. So I could see the Clippers, scoring their share easily. And I just don't feel like Memphis is going to stay under 100 points here. Again, the Clippers have lapses throughout 48 minutes where, they get lackadaisical on defense. They don't necessarily play a full 48 on that end. So for me, I think I would look opposite the move here, maybe look a little bit over. And I couldn't argue anybody who played the Clippers, but I would still be a little bit leery. At some point, Memphis is going to have a game where it clicks. And then from there, I'll be looking at Memphis almost fully healthy now.
It's interesting because, Tony, there has nobody been better. I mean, the NBA's best here would be the Clippers on the road. They're looking for a 12th win in 16 games on the road. They've been extremely profitable on the road going back, 21-8 against the number in their last 29 on the road. So how do you approach this game? Do you trust the Clippers to continue rolling?
Well, this may just be me. The other guys can chime in, or you can too, Joe. And that is, the Clippers, as well as the Grizzlies, have been, and then they've been kind of an aberration. They've been a mystery a lot of times for me. I've backed and faded both this year, and the truth be known, I haven't been that successful either side. I think it's about a wash, but still, I'd like to be better than that, and so would my clients. So that said, is Morant, who's not even averaging 20 points a game, is this one of those sophomore jinxes? There's a lot of things that go into play in this game. It's hard for me to support Memphis here, and like I just said, it's hard for me to support the Clippers only because I've been wrong as many times as I've been right. But this is supposed to be a Memphis team that's improved defensively. I think they allowed 144 to New Orleans on their own court, if I'm not mistaken. They scored, I think, 90 points or 92 points against Dallas, a team that's trying to be more defensive. Long story short, in the last, I think, dozen games, this team, Memphis, has defeated the likes of Detroit, the Thunder, and the Hornets. So there's only one way to go here. You either support the Clippers and lay the number, or you just run from this game and hide, in my opinion.
That's all right. Nobody's after you, Tony. You don't have to run and hide. Let me ask you, Ski, when you look at this Memphis squad, inconsistent. They should be better than what they are at this particular point, coming off of 2 straight losses. Do you like them getting these points at home tonight?
No, I don't. And I'm just laughing because everybody's teasing me about the Lakers. I'm getting text messages left and right. But I don't like Memphis. It's 2 teams going in opposite directions. Memphis have only covered 4 of their last 12 games. Clippers have covered 5 of their last 7. Rob pointed out the big difference in this one, and that's the Clippers 3-point shooting versus Memphis perimeter defense. So I think the Clippers continue to roll, and I don't see why they don't do so early. Clippers have been a good first half team as far as margin on the road. I believe it's better than at home on the road. I think it's 4.7. And for Memphis, I think you get a minus 1.9 or something like that at the house for them. So I like Clippers on the first half, and I probably would like them full game. And the total, initially, I think I would agree with the move, but the more I think about it, Clippers probably going to shoot very well tonight. So I would lean towards over too.
Grizzlies just 1-6 against the number in their last 7 as an underdog. It has not been good. Everything seems to be pointing the Clippers' way at this one, but it'll be interesting to see if Memphis can finally turn the corner here. Another one of our featured games here tonight also comes courtesy of our good friend John Ryan at sportsmemo.com, who also, guys, has a great opportunity for you to head over there and get best bets today for just $5. He's got an angle of the day, guys, that we're going to bring to you, and it has to do with betting on home teams that are on a 5 or more game winning streak. They've got a record between 600 and 700 on the season, and their opponent, well, the opponent has a record of between 400 and 499, so under 500 here. By the way, those home teams, 51, 28, and 3 against the number since 2000. We're talking about the Brooklyn Nets here, guys, tonight in their matchup against the Orlando Magic. So, Tony Finn, I'm going to come to you. It opened up at 7.5, and obviously it's been nothing but Brooklyn money, agreeing with that angle of John Ryan's here, as I'm seeing 9s, 8.5s, and some 9s out on the board there. So, Tony Finn, I'll start with you. The angle is basically telling us that better teams against, under 500 teams here, they've done very well at home in this spot. Do you agree with it?
If on that angle and inside of that trend, if you add that they had crawfish and blue crab for lunch that day too, I'll buy in.
Who in the hell is
who's 7 hours
crawfish?
Of sleep?
It ain't even in season.
7 hours of sleep. Everybody had 7 hours of sleep. No, and John, it's a nice dig. It really is a nice dig. Those trends or those kind of trends, really, I just brush over them because there's just so many different variables, and it's almost like it's not that John is picking or searching. I like that trend. I really do. In fact, on this side tonight, here's my take on this. Rather than the side in this game, I like this total over a little bit. And what they're saying is Orlando's can't score 100. Basically, they're saying Orlando scores 110 points. Not only do we get the over in this game, there's probably a good chance that you also get the side with Brooklyn. So, in truth, Brooklyn is playing better defensively. The stats will tell you such. The peripherals suggest that. I don't buy it completely. When it comes to Orlando, if you're not playing the over, you surely don't want to step in front of this team with an under. You play the over. And if you like the over that much, you play the side. You play them together. You play them separately. Do what you want. I like Orlando. I like the over in this game, and I will until something changes, even without Durant. That's it.
227.5 is what it opened for a total there, Ski. We would think that we'd get one of those maybe 5 or 6 point line moves here to the total going up because it is Brooklyn, but we're not seeing it. So how do you approach this game tonight?
I'm gonna try to find as many STQLs as I can for Tony Finn today.
That man busted out crawfish. Good Christ!
Well, I could have said pasta, but everybody knows pasta. I don't want pasta. Crawfish.
If I don't have one for this game, sadly, but if I have to think about this game, I think about Brooklyn playing when they play the better teams, they usually win, right? And why they win lately, I think they've improved their defense lately, and they only play versus the better teams. Versus the lesser teams, I don't really think that they're bringing that same defense. So I will lean towards an over. And Brooklyn, they've won 7 in a row, covered 7 in a row, right? Or maybe they've won 6 in a row and covered 7 in a row, but I'm not looking to really step in front of them. I think they're playing well, and I'm not going to step in front of it. So Brooklyn or over for me.
7 in a row, in fact. Yes, covered and won 7 in a row for Brooklyn here. And listen, Rob, it looked pretty good last week for Orlando. I think they had won 3 in a row, and then they threw up all over themselves on a back-to-back with Detroit. It wasn't good. And when you lose to Detroit, it can't ever be good. But It does look as if finally healthy, they're starting to come together. Do you like them in this spot?
And, any underdog of substance could be dangerous against the Nets, Joe, just because of the Nets, disdain for defense, like Ski says, against lesser opponents. They know they can outscore you, so there's no real reason to work tremendously hard on the other side. The other night, Brooklyn played Sacramento, a team that can score, but Brooklyn was a hair bit shorthanded. That bench is so thin to begin with that I'm always checking the injury report to see how their reserves are. And I had a couple out the other night, right? Jeff Green didn't play. I think TLC, Luwawu Cabarrot did not play. He's actually going to play again tonight. But they came up with a couple extra reserves. Andre Roberson, a guy who's been around quite a bit, and they wind up scoring themselves 127. So Orlando's not going to stop the Nets. And I think that the reason why you don't see a 5 or 6 point move toward the over, like you suggested before, how come we're not seeing it? It's just strictly because of the opponent. It reminds me so much of last night's game between New Orleans and Detroit, where the total actually went down because people figured, well, Detroit can't score. How can this game get to 230? Yeah. Well, it can get to 230 because New Orleans is going to get to, whatever by themselves, 125, 130, and they're going to carry the other team with them. I see this the same way. Terrence Ross had a couple of quotes here where they were a little disappointed in themselves for starting slow last game. They want to start quicker. Evan Fournier had his worst shooting game since coming back into the starting lineup. They've got capable scorers here. And how does Vucevic not have a huge game against this Nets team that has nothing in the middle? So for me, I think over is probably still the way. It's almost knee-jerk now, Joe, right? At least for me. If I see a Brooklyn Nets game, in that mid-220, even high 220 range, you just play it over because I think the baseline for them should be around 233. Anything under that, to me, is worth playing over.
Yep. Good stuff there, guys. All right. We got another game coming your way here tonight on the card, which will include the New Orleans Pelicans. Speaking of that team there, Rod, the Pelicans taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. And this game opened up at 9 for Milwaukee, and it's there. It seems to be pretty stagnant across the board. Total inched up a hair here. 240 is what we saw as an open. 242.5 in a number of places is what I am seeing at the Wager Talk Live's odd page. So I'm coming back to you, Ski. Let's talk about this Milwaukee team, a New Orleans team coming off of that win last night against Detroit here, back-to-back situation. Do you trust Milwaukee to lay 9 here tonight against this team?
You know what? I have to think about it long and hard. But if I do think about it, I would have to lean towards Milwaukee. If I told you guys, or if I asked you guys, who's the top 2 best net rating teams this year, I don't think either one of you would say Milwaukee, but they are. They're number 2 right behind the Utah Jazz. And I'm looking at the Pelicans. They're 2-6 against the spread their last 8. They're 1-3 against the spread without rest. 3-6 as a road dog. 3-8 versus competition. 55% when teams are better. And I look at the Bucks. Ever since Giannis had that meeting with everybody, they went on a little win streak, and then they went on a losing streak. But in that losing streak, the teams that they played were the Suns, who've been extremely hot, the Jazz, who are the hottest team in the league, and they played the Raptors a couple of times, and the Raptors always give the Bucks problems. So since that time, they played a couple of lower tier teams, and what they do, they beat them. So I think the Bucks can handle business versus New Orleans. And when I think about the matchup a little bit more, the Bucks not so great defending the 3-point line, and Pelicans not so great shooting it. So I think the Bucks will stop all the easy baskets inside, and I think they can cover this number. If I had to play the total for that reason, for New Orleans, me thinking New Orleans can't really take advantage of the Bucks perimeter defense, I would probably play it under. So Bucks and under is the way I look.
All right. Well, Rob, we did see this game back on the 29th of January, and we got a 131-126 game in New Orleans here. I understand the move up 2.5 points here to 242.5 at this time, but how do you approach it? From a side, from a total, how are you looking at it?
Well, the Pelicans are on a 10 straight over string, right? So it's hard to play them under in any form right now. I mean, Stan Van Gundy comes in as a defensive-minded coach, and it's just gone haywire. for this team. In fact, in their last game, they had 74 points in the paint, but they gave up 60. So, Zion's been tremendous in there, right? I think I read something today where he is the only player the last 2 months, January and February, to shoot 66% or better for the month from the field. It's crazy how many easy baskets Zion is getting or working. I mean, he has to work for a lot of them too, but he gets close to the rim and he scores. So, can the Bucks stop him? I'm not sure. The first time around, Joe, the game you mentioned, I think 4 of the 5 starters had over 20 points in that game for New Orleans. The Bucks tried to rally. They couldn't. There's a little talk of they want revenge here tonight. But I look at this quote from Mike Budenholzer today, who said, hopefully is the key word in all of this, our defense maybe, hopefully and maybe in the same sentence ain't good. Hopefully our defense maybe wears on people and gets better as the game goes on. Doesn't put a lot of faith in me, in their defense, even though they should be a good defensive team. Certainly they're much like what I just talked about with the Pelicans and Brooklyn, that they can drag any team over a total. And as handicappers, we wait for the odds maker to make adjustments that we can no longer keep playing the same thing, right? At some point, it's got to turn around. But I'm not sure 242 is even high enough to turn around with these two teams. So if I had to look, maybe I'd look over. And I don't trust Milwaukee to win by more than 9, although I don't want New Orleans' pathetic defense either. I mean, if they're going to give up 60 points in the paint to the Pistons, Giannis could have a field in there tonight. And I think he had 38 the first time around.
Well, hopefully and maybe Tony Finn will make it till tomorrow. So, Tony, before that time, let us hopefully get a side or a total out of you for this game as New Orleans traveling to Milwaukee. You like the total? You like the side? How are you going to approach it?
I like the total. And I'm listening to Rob. He said a lot of things. Both Rob and Ski said a lot of things that are accurate. First off, Mike B, Coach B, he built a defensive system that produced 2 straight seasons that put Milwaukee as one of the better defensive teams in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Absolutely true.
Yeah. However, this Buck system runs and thrives on packing the paint and supposedly offering inefficient jump shots. But listen, the issue with this Bucks is that their offseason, they traded a little, I think, defense for, let's put it this way. It doesn't work. If you're going to give up that many threes, and 41% of the threes, that's the 3-point buckets is what is being played against the Bucks this year. 41. Last year, they gave up 42% of the points were 3-point shots. The only teams below Milwaukee, Dallas, New York, Toronto, New Orleans, Charlotte, Miami. Those are the only teams that are giving up more points from beyond 3. And it doesn't work in this day and age. We saw it last night. We'll talk about it. Utah, LA. Guess what? Utah is no longer that elite. And hell no, Utah guys. We talked about them being a defensive team. They are now an elite offensive team. If you look at what they're doing from the 3-point line, if you can hit threes like they threw and move the ball like they moved around the perimeter, you're tough to beat. I don't care how good you are defensively, Mr. Los Angeles Lakers. Ski. I like the over. I'm not going to touch the side in the 9 points, Mr. Joe, but I do like the over here. I just got to play Milwaukee over and New Orleans over. If you're playing under these two, then you're on better peyote than I have.
You've got, nobody's got better peyote than you have. But we are talking about the 3rd fastest team in the NBA going up against the 28th, defensive efficient team. There could be a lot of points in this game for sure. Yeah. All right, we got one more overtime game we'll get to, but I do want to remind you guys right now, Ski, Rob Vino, and Tony Finn, well, they've got their best bets locked and loaded here at WagerTalk.com, and you can get them for 50% off best bet packages right now, guys. Today only here on this Thursday, you just got to use the code THANKS50 at checkout. That's THANKS50 at checkout. Go grab these plays. Let's make it a profitable Thursday night. You've got NHL. You've got NBA, college basketball. You got so much going on right now. Great games lined up. Best bets already for 50% off. Just use that code THANKS50. All right, guys, let's take a look at our overtime game here tonight. And it's interesting because this one opened up right around the 225 mark, 225 and a half. And we were looking for it. What is that one game where we saw just a crazy increase in the total? And that game is with the Dallas Mavericks and the 76ers as this shot up to 229 in a hurry here. So, Rob Vino, I'm coming to you first here, my friend. A, do you agree with that move, or do you still think maybe there's some value going up and over the total at 229?
Well, there's certainly less, right? I mean, that's quite a move, but I don't know that I could play under, Joe, in this instance. You're not going to see Kristaps Porzingis. You didn't see him the other night against Boston. Dallas, I know 6 of those 110 points came within the last 10 seconds. Luka just amazing with a couple of threes in that game. But Dallas, even without Porzingis, Luka-led offense can score against the Philadelphia team that, in the 2 games against Toronto, they really played, especially in the second game, outstanding defense. Very frustrating if you're a Sixers fan, I'm sure, to watch them play that kind of defense that they're capable of, one game out of every bunch. I don't know that they'll bring that type of defense here tonight. The other thing that I would note is that Toronto, Nick Nurse, give him a lot of credit. He put together a game plan that I hadn't seen used against Joel Embiid an awful lot. Not only did he run doubles, rotation-wise, doubles at Joel Embiid every time he touched the ball, but he dropped Fred VanVleet the instant the pass went to Embiid. And little 6-foot Fred VanVleet just slapped at the ball every time Embiid would bring it down. He was pestered from all sides, front, back, bottom, top, and he had a lousy game. Dallas doesn't have the capability. They're not constructed that way. I think Embiid goes off here. The question to the total here is going to be how much, and maybe Ben cares a ton tonight. He should, and he might, about defending Luka Doncic. That could be a matchup. If Luka gets slowed in any way, shape, or form, you probably get an under. Maxi Kleber's back. It's a tough game at 229, Joe, but I think Philly probably reaches the 120 plateau, which might make me say over.
It's interesting, too. Dallas kind of split in the middle, 15 games apiece to the over and to the under there, Tony Finn. So no Porzingis. Anybody there going to make up the points, you think, in this one? Or do you think maybe the under's got some value now?
I would be with Rob here. I'm not going to play an under, although many of the Dallas totals this year and some of their shooting percentages from distance would support playing under. But not tonight. As he said, no Porzingis. The Dallas isn't very strong in the paint anyway. They're giving up 50 points a game in the paint, which is not huge. It's middle of the road for the conference, in my opinion, at least the last 3 games. Sacramento teams like Brooklyn, Sacramento, Minnesota all also give up more than 50 points in the paint per game. But Seth Curry's supposed to play. I would play over here in this game. Not only would I be over, I like Philly in this game too. I know they haven't been great in these situations this year. I got beat by them when they were in their last episode on the road. So that said, I'm going to give you both. I'm going to give you Philly minus the number over the total.
All righty, Ski. I mean, they've gone under the last 3, that being Philly here. What do you think about this one? Some value in the under, or is it over or not for you?
The number I have for the total is like 225.
Oh,
so
when it opened, yeah,
where it opened. So I guess at this point, I'd have to lean more towards the under. And I think about no Porzingis. That's definitely less offense, and whatever lineups they're going to throw out there without him are going to be more defense. And Dallas plays at a slow pace. We'll see if Philly speeds them up or not. But just like Rob mentioned, I think if Simmons maybe takes it upon himself to see if he can slow Luka down, and just without Porzingis, I think that they play more defense. So I'll lean more towards an under in this game rather than an over.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Our good stuff here. And that leaves us for our buzzer beater best bets. We put it all together here and figure out exactly which way these guys are leaning on their favorite game, prop, total of the night. You know how it is, 60 seconds on the clock. We ask them to drop that knowledge on us. As long as they don't go over to 60 seconds, everything will be fine. They can do it in 10 seconds and then make fun of Tony Finn for the next 50. We're okay. 60 seconds is all yours. So, Ski, I know you got something for Finn in that 60 seconds, but lay it out for us, man. 60 seconds on the clock. Where are you going tonight? Best bet.
Yeah, I'll mention for Finn. He said he likes the Sixers. I'll give him a SDQL. Dallas, after they won the last game and they're facing one of these 55% win teams or better, 5-19 straight up and 6-18 against the spread the last 24 games or so. So it supports you,
Dallas,
Tony Finn. There's an SDQL for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the favorite?
No. 60 seconds. Shut up.
Crawfish for lunch.
Like I said, I've only made one bet today, so I wish I could give something else out. But you guys probably already know where I'm going. I'm going to the Knicks in the first half. You get in, you get out. We've seen it time and time again. They managed to cover one game, full game, but 10-0 against the spread in the first half. The last 10 games, the first half margin, the last 3 games +6 for New York, -10 for Sacramento. Give me New York -0.5 for that.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Ski. I'm with you there. Got it. All right. Crawfish. I'm not going to you, though. We're going to let you play cleanup. We're going to go to Vino because, Vino, at least I know I can get a basket here with Rob Vino. I don't know what the hell we're going to get from you. So, Rob, 60 seconds, my man. Talk to us. Best bet here tonight. Buzzer beater.
Yeah, again, Ski always has that information that I don't. Tony, you get SDQL support, but I'm going to support you as well, Tony. I mean, we had that game was our overtime game, so only talking from a totals perspective. But Philadelphia was getting, Dallas was getting 2 at home the other night against Boston. And now they're only getting 5 on the road against Philly, who has been a really good home team this year. I know Dallas above 500 on the road, but the matchup just doesn't work to me whatsoever. And Embiid, when he's allowed to run rampant in the lane, which he will be tonight, it just opens everything up. Seth Curry did not play the other night. Guys like Furkan Korkmaz, Danny Green, Danny Green hit like 3 threes the other night. It was crazy watching all these guys shoot. Shake Milton came back and hit 3 threes. They've got shooters around the perimeter that can light Dallas up. I just don't think Dallas has enough offensive firepower to stay with them. So I will play Philadelphia -5 as my best bet.
Oh, look at you. See how it works out there? Did you see it? He was actually fading away, and now he's playing defense here. Unlike you, Tony Finn, who is going to there's a brick in here. I know there's a brick. Crawfish and all. So go ahead. 60 seconds, my man. It's all yours. Give us your best bet.
Listen, Rob's correct. I agree with him on that. We've talked about that already. I'm going to jump to Orlando and the Brooklyn Nets. And as much as this has to do with Orlando as it does Brooklyn, really, I like the over in this game. I talked about it when we spoke and discussed this game already. And essentially what they're saying is Orlando scores 110. This game goes over. Brooklyn, both of our panelists, Ski, Rob spoke to, I think mostly Ski spoke to Brooklyn wanting to play to their level of their competition. Listen, this is really easy. Orlando scores 110. They're much more offensive than they were last year. Even as poor as they shoot from the field, they're just not very good defensively. Brooklyn scores 130. All Portland has to do is score 110, or 100, that matter. They score 110, it goes over easy. Over. Portland, over. Orlando and Brooklyn. Damn it, man, I failed.
No, you actually had more than 10 seconds, but we just wanted to buzz your ass out.
Oh,
so you're good to go there, Finn. Great stuff. Glad you got it out. There was a bit of a brick up there, I think. Let's look at the replay. Yep, there it is. Way to go, Finn. Fantastic. Got to work on that, my man. All right, one more time. We got a recap for you guys here. Let's take a look at it. Ski. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. New York Knicks first half, laying that half a point. Rob Vino thinks Embiid is just going to run rampant here tonight. Back to Sixers, laying the 5. And Tony Finn, somewhere in there, I think, over. Was it Magic Nets over 228? He does like the over in that. And, guys, all 3 of them, best bets up and available at WagerTalk right now for half price. You just got to use the code THANKS50 at checkout. That's THANKS50 at checkout. Go take advantage of it right now. Thursday, half-priced best bet packages at WagerTalk.com. So on behalf of Ski Profit and the man in the middle today, Mr. Rob Vino, and, of course, Tony Finn, our crawfish man, we want to thank you guys very much for stopping by. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys. Subscribe to the page, and make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow, the Friday edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, as we get you ready for the weekend. So best of luck with your plays tonight, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
By popular demand, it is back. The NBA. Wager Talk stat sheet. Can you analyze the NBA with just one page of information? I think you can. And that's why the stat sheet was devised. It gives you year-to-date stats for every team playing that evening, broken up both home and away and overall on the season. And most importantly, it takes the last 2 weeks. There are many ebbs and flows in an NBA season, but looking at how a team has done the last 2 weeks, straight up, against the spread, and over-under is important. I've added an extra feature, though. Points scored, points allowed, average line, and average total. Having an ATS or over-under number is important, but knowing by how much that team has covered those games or how much the team went over or under the total, even more important. I also add a free best bet daily.